What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackbine, joined always by my man in the corner, producer Nick Belsky. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talker. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. The Pittsburgh Steelers, well, they are 2 days away from their third game in 11 days on Christmas. It has been a wild ride. I know I'm exhausted. I'm sure the players are 10 times more exhausted where we stand currently. We're diving into a, rather uncertain injury report for the Pittsburgh Steelers, what it means for George Pickens, Deshaun Elliott, Joey Porter Jr., and others. Meanwhile, Cam Hayward had some very strong things to say about the NFL as the Pittsburgh Steelers go through this gauntlet of a schedule. We'll dive into that, plus a familiar face. Got some playing time over the weekend, and it just kind of gave the Pittsburgh Steelers a little bit of a reminder. We'll dive into that, and it's Overreaction Tuesday on a Monday. Very excited for it. Week 17, Pittsburgh Steelers, Kansas City Chiefs. It's been a nonstop 11 days. We are just about at the end of it. It's crazy times. I hope everybody's excited for the holiday. I hope those who are celebrating Festivus today, happy holiday, and enjoy your day as well. Nick, it's a good one here in the Berg. It's supposed to snow a little bit tonight, but I think we'll be okay. How you feeling, my friend?
I'm feeling good. I got a lot of problems with you people, and you're going to hear about it. No, I love the Festivus holiday. Obviously, I will tell the people that I have problems with what the problems that I have, and I'm sure a lot of the people in the comment section have a lot of problems with the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, and the perfect day to air it out and perfect medium to air it out is the All Steelers Talk live chat. So let us know, what problems do you have with the Steelers, and if there are questions, we'll answer them at the end of the show.
That's how we do it every day. We are the errands of grievances here at All Steelers Talk. That is my you have a favorite holiday tradition? Watching that Seinfeld episode tonight and then watching A Christmas Story tomorrow night those are my holiday traditions. That's every year since I'm 10 years old. Those are the two. You got anything like that?
Like I mentioned, I think a week ago, I just like gambling on Christmas night. We play cards. That's the tradition that I really enjoy.
The best. That's the best. Okay. I was looking for a little bit more heartfelt, you know what I mean? Family oriented.
The whole family's there.
That's a good family, my friend. It's a good you hold on to them tight, okay? Mm-hmm. You teach your kids the same. I hope Miss Belsky's listening as well. First kid, Uncle Noah is sending a poker set. First Christmas, right there, right in the mail.
Either that or a DraftKings gift card.
Probably both. Second one probably for you, but the first one probably for them, 100%. All right, let's dive into some Pittsburgh Steelers football here. We'll start with some news and notes before we dive into the injury updates. We'll say report, but the injury updates here. We got two big ones. One fun one kind of serious one. Let's toss over to you. What do we got to start?
Yeah, a certain former first-round pick of the Pittsburgh Steelers was in action yesterday as Kenny Pickett got some playing time for the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts went down in the first quarter due to a concussion, and Pickett came in and, looked good for the first series. Right down the field, scored a touchdown, and then that was basically it. He finished the day 14 of 24 for 143 yards, one touchdown, one interception, and the Philadelphia Eagles blew a 21-7 lead to lose to the Washington Commanders on the road and end their long winning streak. So Kenny Pickett gets some action, and Kenny Pickett gets his first loss as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, it was a tough one because he starts 3 for 3. He hits A.J. Brown, and you're going, here it is, dude, the Kenny Pickett show. And then, I'm sending jokes to the group chat saying how long until people start freaking out. Oh, the Pittsburgh Steelers should have never got rid of Kenny Pickett. What it turned out to be is a very gentle reminder that the Pittsburgh Steelers are right where they need to be. They have the quarterbacks that, are certainly an improvement because their old quarterbacks went 0-2 yesterday. And while Russell Wilson also went 0-1, could be worse. Things are okay. And if you had to pick between Justin Fields and Kenny Pickett, I think a lot of people sitting here today would say Justin Fields feels pretty good as your backup possible long-term. Probably not, but there's a possibility solution at the quarterback position for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Shout out Kenny. Hope he gets another shot. Hope he does well. Was always a fan of Kenny, even though not many people in Pittsburgh probably are these days.
Yeah, we also had a little bit of news earlier today from the locker room. You were in person to see this one, but a lot of Steelers fans not happy about the 3 games in 11 days and the scheduling for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Of course, that goes across all 4 fan bases that are dealing with this: the Houston Texans, the Baltimore Ravens, Kansas City. We've been hearing everybody complaining about 3 games in 11 days. Well, Steelers captain Cam Hayward tends to agree with the masses, saying, quote, "I think that's definitely a concern. It's a players association thing as well as an NFL thing. You don't want to mess up the product, but we've been saying this since we got Thursday night games. It's not easy. I played on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you name it. We signed up for it, but what does it do to the players? And I wish we had better answers for that."
Yeah, it's something you can't disagree with, right? It's crazy. And Cam's kind of been screwed through it all. Like, the Steelers got hit hard during the COVID year where they were playing teams on literally the middle of the week. Like, we're talking Christmas now, there's understandings for it. I remember covering a game on a Tuesday going, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done in this business, is cover, I believe it was the Baltimore Ravens, Pittsburgh Steelers, Tuesday afternoon. Might have been the Tennessee Titans. It was one of the two. Tuesday afternoon, absolutely nonsense of a game. Felt like the weirdest thing ever. And everybody's just talking about, how am I supposed to do this?
Mhm.
How am I supposed to go throughout a week? Well, now you have to do it after 3 games in 11 days. That's how you're finishing this one off. It's just another example that the NFL cares about one thing, and that is its pockets. This is a bad thing. The media coverage has been terrible. The interest in these games is almost non-existent, which I hope helps kind of resurrect this and shows the NFL, hey, there are reasons not to do this moving forward. There are reasons not to cram this many games into this short of a period moving forward. Why? Because Pittsburgh Steelers, Kansas City Chiefs should be lighting up televisions. It should be the most talked about, most exciting thing you can talk about all week long. But it is not. People do not care. The tension is not high. The excitement is not growing. There is little conversation about how the Pittsburgh Steelers are fighting for an AFC title crown and to get back into things. And Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are trying to win the AFC. There is almost no talk about it. Why? Because nobody's got time to process what's going on. That's what we've done, is the fan side of this, because you could bitch and complain about the player side of it all day long. They have every right to be upset about it. I've been told since May that people have been pissed off about this, that this makes no sense. The fan side of it is very simple. There are going to be a lot of people that watch this game on Christmas, but there are going to be a lot of people that say, dude, I got a lot of stuff going on Christmas. I understand. This is great, but this isn't Thanksgiving. Stop trying to cram football down my throats and let me enjoy what should have been a week of buildup between 2 massive teams that we do not get now. I think, to be honest with you, maybe I'm way off base. I think that having a game on Christmas on Wednesday is bad. It's not half as enjoyable as it would be if we had Christmas week, this entire holiday week, to talk about football that is coming and get ready for it, instead of 3 days to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Kansas City Chiefs and what should be a big giant buildup to a very exciting football game.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that, as Cam alluded to there, it's not good football. Typically, it's awful football. We've been blessed to have some pretty good Thursday night football games this year. That's the exception. That is far from the rule. And I have a hard time believing, even though the quality of the teams playing on Wednesday are very high, I have a hard time believing we're going to see high quality football on Wednesday, because it is their 3rd game in 11 days for all 4 teams. That's a lot for any NFL team to handle. I don't care if you're 14-1 like the Chiefs. I don't care if you're 2 and whatever like the New York Giants. It's going to be hard to turn around and have a good football game and have a good performance whenever you're on that short of schedule. So I understand why they're doing it. It's obvious. It's money. That's the reason that there was a Black Friday game the last 2 years. But, true fans will watch it. And I don't want to say true fans. I'll say hardcore fans will watch it. But if you're not a hardcore fan, it's not going to be an easy watch on Wednesday afternoon.
No, it's not. It's not even close. And there will be a lot of people, myself included, who, if I wasn't covering this game, would look at it and say, I got dinner to go to. I got family to be around. Football, as much as I want to watch it, is not something that I am gifted the opportunity to sit here and do. So it's just a bad experience all around. Hopefully the NFL learns from it. Never thought I'd be complaining about extra football, but to be honest with you, a little bit, like, if you want to put a boring game on television, sure, whatever, dude. You want to put a middle of the tier. I have no idea what the rest of the schedule is, but I'm pretty sure the New England Patriots play on a Saturday. If you wanted to put them on Christmas Day, I'd be totally fine with it. Just give me some football to watch. But I don't need these big giant games. I think it does the complete opposite of what they're trying to do. And again, maybe I'm totally off base, but just feels like the product itself, the NFL kind of botched this one. And because of it, Cam Hayward and a lot of other players across the league right now are bitching about it, and rightfully so. All right, let's talk some injury reports, because that's the big stuff. George Pickens highlights it all. And while we'll wait until tomorrow to get that final injury report out, Pittsburgh Steelers and Kansas City Chiefs, we do have some news. George Pickens says that he is still not cleared, not 100% medically ready to go, I guess, against Kansas City Chiefs. Hopes to play, was a full participant today for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But we're still waiting. I'll tell you what I know. I believe George Pickens is good to go. I don't even think he's going to have an injury designation heading into this. That's how confident I am at this point in the week when it comes to George Pickens and the Pittsburgh Steelers and where their superstar wide receiver stands. And yeah, I mean, you'd hope that George is not pushing himself. You're hoping that the Pittsburgh Steelers are taking this in an approach where they're trying to balance. You got to win the AFC North, and at the same time, you got to keep George Pickens healthy, but it feels like we've waited long enough. George Pickens should be out there, and the Steelers' good news should continue. I expect Deshaun Elliott to play as well. I expect Larry Ogunjobi to play as well. I expect Dante Jackson to play as well. I do not expect Joey Porter Jr. to go for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And all in all, clean bill of health outside of your one starting corner is a pretty good place to be. Starting football wise, you could go to the backups and say, I don't know what to feel about Ben Skoranek. We'll see. We'll see what happens. He was, as of today, did not participate.
Yeah.
Not feeling good about that one. You got to look at it and feel pretty okay that the Pittsburgh Steelers are coming out of this one and a lot more healthy. Does it improve, you think, your hopes in the Pittsburgh Steelers to have all these names back?
Oh, 1000%. I mean, one of the biggest issues was injuries. Yes, the players on the field didn't perform up to snuff. I mean, you talked yesterday about Russell Wilson. A lot of people have talked about the Steelers' defensive front and how they got basically bullied by the Baltimore Ravens offensive line a week after being bullied by the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line to a certain extent. But I think when you get some of these guys back, especially in the secondary, because listen, James Pierre, Corey Trice, valiant effort, but you don't want them going out there against Patrick Mahomes and what is seemingly a wide receiver core on the rise. And they already have one of the best tight ends in the history of football. You want these guys to be back healthy. You want Deshaun Elliott to be able to get his feet underneath them before the playoffs. So considering what we saw yesterday with a lot of veteran days off, but a long list on the injury report, to see 80% of those names be full participant today is a very good sign for the Steelers and will help in a lot of areas that they lacked last week or I guess 2 days ago and a week ago.
Yeah, I agree. What's your confidence level in these guys right now? What's your confidence level in a healthy Pittsburgh Steelers? Overall, not just Kansas City. I'm talking overall. 2.5 weeks ago, we're talking how good this team could be. The ceiling is massive, blah, blah, blah. Yesterday, 2 days ago, we're talking about this team's garbage. It's over. It's done. Well, here we are today. Well, where's your overall healthy Pittsburgh Steelers? Where do you stand?
The one thing that bothers me is they haven't really beaten a winning team since week 11. And in that game, they didn't score a touchdown. That was against the Baltimore Ravens. So even healthy, I think I would look at them as a team that is a tough out in the playoffs, but not a team that I'm banking on to go on a run. Again, if they can prove that they can beat a good winning team, and in these last 2 weeks or maybe in the first round of the playoffs, then you start to kind of reassess. But as of right now, they started off 5-0 against winning teams. 3 of them were in the first 3 weeks of the season. The other 2 were a road game against the Commanders, which they won by the skin of their teeth, and then a Baltimore Ravens game in which was a Baltimore Ravens game, and they won off the foot of Chris Boswell. I need to see them be able to, especially after the last 2 weeks, late in a game, make the plays necessary to close things out, because they haven't been able to do that against good teams in the later portion of the season. Once I see that, I'll reassess. But right now I see them as a team that, if they're fully healthy, they can make it tough on another team. But I would still say they're an underdog in pretty much every matchup they go up against, unless it's Denver or the Chargers.
Yeah, I maybe Houston. I might put Houston
in Houston.
Yeah, I don't feel confident about Houston, especially after losing Tank Dell. They're almost in the same boat as the Steelers to me. Like a team that has a lot of talent, maybe not living up to that talent, beat up a little bit. And because of that, I might put the Steelers in the same tier. I'm not going to say above them, same tier, I would say, where it goes Buffalo, Kansas City, Baltimore, and even Baltimore, I think, might be below Kansas City, Buffalo. Then another step down, and then it's Pittsburgh, Houston, and then it's the LA and Denver. But I agree with you. Like, it's been a while, and I think that's where things get confusing almost, is it's been a while. At the same time, think of everything that's happened in that while. A lot of bad. Steelers are getting banged up left and right. They're also not really awarded the opportunity to play good teams. Then they are awarded an opportunity to play good teams in Baltimore and Philadelphia, but they're already super banged up by the time that they are playing those teams. They're also in a stretch of 6 games. Now they're going to play Kansas City 3 days later. It's just everything that's transpired since Chris Boswell hit those 6 field goals has just been very strange and almost overwhelming for every party included. And I think because of that, I'm trying to be more forgiving while at the same time acknowledging you're not wrong. You know, nobody, the skepticism, the worry about the Pittsburgh Steelers is pretty accurate right now. But how much does that change if you beat Kansas City? Everything changes. And what are the opportunity? What's the shot that they actually could beat Kansas City? I'm not going to say 0. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say it's impossible. Am I confident in it? I don't know. But I'm not going to sit here and say it's 0. I just think so much has happened. So I agree with you. I think a healthy Pittsburgh Steelers is almost confusing. Like the expectation for the Steelers almost confusing right now where we stand. But we'll see tomorrow. The Pittsburgh Steelers injury report, the final one, will come out tomorrow just about 4:00. We'll know about everybody. But George Pickens says he's still not cleared, but as a full participant, you got to think he's as close as can possibly be. And at this point, I mean, you're just waiting on Deshaun, who looked good today, and Dante Jackson, who said he's playing, to return ahead of Week 17. All right. I know it's Monday. Excuse me. And I know we are as jumbled as can be when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers schedule, and right now everything that is going on with it. But it's still the best time of the week. It's still Overreaction Tuesday. This time on a Monday. Pittsburgh Steelers, Kansas City Chiefs. Let's dive into it.
It's a fine line between, drinking wine and squashing grapes, as we say in this business, and sometimes it's very subtle.
Shout out our boys at the graphics department. Shout out Max Bear. Oh, man, guys, I'm tired. We're getting there, though. All right, let's dive into it. Pittsburgh Steelers, Kansas City Chiefs. Overreaction Tuesday on a Monday. I don't have any idea where you're going with these, so I'm actually very excited about them. I just feel like there's like 85 days to cram into 24 hours. Makes no sense. It's super confusing and also exciting, all at the same time very overwhelming. So let's dive into it. What do you got for me?
Yeah, let's start with your boy Calvin Austin coming off a really big game against the Baltimore Ravens. Overreaction or not, I'll let you be the judge. Calvin Austin is a number 2 wide receiver on at least 15 NFL offenses. The Steelers just don't use him enough, and they don't use him correctly.
15 teams in the NFL. Okay, so half of this is true. I think half of this is an overreaction. Top 15 you got to think there are a lot of teams that have two good wide receivers. A lot of them. And there are a lot of teams that have two good wide receivers that are still not as good as other good wide receivers, but still better than Calvin Austin. And I mean, all praise to Calvin Austin. So I think half of this is the Steelers do not utilize him correctly. They have not all season. They don't utilize most of their guys correctly. That's a Pittsburgh Steelers thing. You know, you come to Pittsburgh, you play offense. Chances are you are not going to be used right. That's okay. Part of the gig. But it might be an overreaction to say, because you'd have to go through like Cleveland. Yes. But Cincinnati, no. Baltimore, no. Obviously, Pittsburgh doesn't count.
Mm-hmm.
The Chargers, yes. Denver, no.
I mean, I'm just looking at a team like the Atlanta Falcons, who has gotten Ray McLeod over 600 receiving yards this year, and saying Ray McLeod versus Calvin Austin, you would think Calvin Austin has a little bit more to give than Ray.
I agree. But how many Rays are the number two? How many? That's
Giants. You could probably throw out there.
Sterling Shepard is number two.
I think Calvin's on that level right now. If given the opportunity and if utilized correctly, I think Calvin's on that level.
Okay. Bears the question, how good would some guys do in the Steelers offense if they weren't in the Giants offense? But I hear what you're saying. I'd go overreaction simply because 15 is, I'd have to look at it. I'd have to pin it up, go through every single number two wide receiver and see where we're at. I will say it is not an overreaction to say utilized incorrectly. I mean, half the Pittsburgh Steelers offense is utilized incorrectly, highlighted by number 19, Calvin Austin.
I got one more because we have so many listener ones and I'm excited to get to. My second overreaction, or maybe not an overreaction, if Russell Wilson doesn't win again this season, the Steelers are better off re-signing Justin Fields instead.
That is not not even close. I think right now there's a good argument to be made that the Pittsburgh Steelers are better off re-signing Justin Fields than Russell Wilson. I would say that is not even an overreaction where we stand today, because I get it. Russ is good. Russ has gotten you here. Russ looks like he's got questions and he's 36 years old. Justin Fields is 26 years old. He's got a hell of a lot more football left in him. Maybe he's got a lot more upside too. Who knows? Feels like you're just scratching the surface with Justin Fields, getting to the point where maybe you've seen the peak. The mountaintop was there, and now you're on your way down with Russell Wilson. There's no chance that's an overreaction. And I don't think it would be an overreaction if you said today, if the season ended today, what do you do with Russell Wilson? But if you don't win, if the Steelers do not win another game this season, you can't bring Russell Wilson back. You can't. You cannot bring Russell Wilson back. I'm not saying they're not going to. They probably are going to. But you cannot justify bringing Russell Wilson back if you do not win another football game over the next 3 weeks.
All right, let's jump into the listener ones because they are hot and heavy coming from our listeners. Let's start with Sajan, who says, overreaction. The season is over, plain and simple. We should start focusing on the draft and figuring out what positions we need to address with the picks that we currently have.
No. If everybody was healthy over the last 2 weeks and the Pittsburgh Steelers looked as bad as they've looked at times, the answer is yes. You know, that's not an overreaction. You start to realize that the season has peaked and it feels good. You won 10 games. Awesome. But the Steelers have been beat up, and I'm talking multiple guys. Over this last span, they've lost both of their starting corners, their starting safety, who's their second leading tackler on the roster, and their biggest offensive weapon, who means just as much to this team as anybody else on the roster. It's impossible to sit here and say the Steelers are a team that you give up on. And now, if they lose to Kansas City with everybody back and everybody looks good and they just look atrocious, there's no room for real improvement left. Different conversation to be had. You lose to Cincinnati and everybody's healthy and you look good. Different conversation to be had. But right now, you're just starting to get back to healthy football. What does that team look like? We don't know yet, but too many injuries for that. Because of that, I'm going overreaction.
All right, let's head over to Michael, who says Deontay Johnson will be back in the Steel City. Overreaction or not?
I said it to you before the show. You said, is Deontay Johnson coming back? So there's no chance, right? I said, I'm not gonna say no. I'm not gonna say no. I'm not gonna say that's an overreaction. Now, by the time this podcast is over, chances are we know where Deontay Johnson ends up. However, I'm not confident to sit here and say that the Pittsburgh Steelers would not at least consider bringing him back at this point in the season. It makes way too much sense to add a wide receiver. The Steelers' concerns are very high at the position. Why wouldn't you? I think at this point in the year, the Steelers have made it abundantly clear numerous times that they want a wideout, and they have an opportunity to get one. Obviously, the concerns are there, and that's something that might deter them from it. But I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to sit here and say no. The Pittsburgh Steelers are giving up on Deontay Johnson. I don't remember what way that was worded, but overreaction if you're saying he's not coming back, not an overreaction if you say he could come back.
He said he will be back. So I think
will is a strong word.
Will is strong.
Will is strong. Will is an overreaction.
Mm-hmm.
Will is an overreaction. But walking the line.
All right, let's go over to Noah Thomas, who says Arthur Smith will, again with the wills, will be replaced as offensive coordinator.
No, that's an overreaction. The Steelers. It's just like Terrell Austin. Like everybody's calling for TA's job over the weekend. You could scream and shout all you want, and it's not going to happen. Nothing's going to change. The Steelers love Arthur Smith. The players love Arthur Smith. They have a lot of confidence in Arthur Smith. I'm not saying I agree with it right now where we currently stand. Because of that, it's an overreaction. He's not going anywhere. He's not getting a head coaching job. I think that's pretty easy to see. But he is not going to get fired. The Steelers are not going to get rid of Arthur Smith after the season. They are very excited about having Arthur Smith in the building. They don't want to let him go.
We got a fun one here from Carl Spackler, who's always good for an overreaction every Tuesday or Monday. This time says, Jingle All the Way is the greatest Christmas film of all time.
Oh, that's an overreaction. It's an overreaction. It is. And this is a hot take. But it is a Christmas story. It is a Christmas story. I'm sorry, but it is. And I'll toss you a curveball here. This is not a Christmas movie, but it is a Christmas movie. Die Hard should be on that list too. Because that's a Christmas movie in my house. It will always be a Christmas movie in my house. And it's phenomenal. But a Christmas story, man. You can't go wrong with a Christmas story. And the older you get, the better it gets.
Yeah, I do want to watch that new Taron Egerton movie that is like the new Die Hard, which it's an action movie that takes place around Christmas time. So now it's a Christmas movie.
It's a Christmas movie.
I really don't care either way, as long as it's a good movie. Die Hard's a good movie. So whether it's Christmas or not, I'll sit down and watch it. As far as the best, you're both wrong. It's National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and it's not even close.
Just watched that last night. Phenomenal movie. But I wouldn't.
Not even close. Nope. I don't want to hear it.
Overreaction. But okay.
Overreaction.
Okay.
Let's go over to Hugo, who says, overreaction. Russ is no longer unlimited and is going to cost us the North and a home game in the postseason.
I mean, it's an overreaction to say that simply because why would it be Russ? Why would it only be Russ? Why is it not Arthur Smith, Mike Tomlin, the defense playing poorly, no running game? Like the offensive line. There are a lot of reasons that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to cost themselves the North if they do cost themselves the North. I don't think Russell Wilson is the only reason that these things are happening. So I'm overreaction just because, like, it's not just Russ. It's so many things going wrong. If you wanted to say Mike Tomlin and Arthur Smith and TA are going to cost the Steelers the North, yeah, coaches come first. That's the argument to be made. But your quarterback, unless Russ throws like 6 interceptions and is the sole reason that you are playing bad, which right now he's not, and he was not the sole reason they played bad against Baltimore or Philadelphia, then, that's an overreaction.
Speaking of, we do have an update per Adam Schefter about a minute ago. Deontay Johnson claimed by the Houston Texans.
By the Houston Texans. Whew, didn't see that one coming. We'll say massive, because I just sat here 2 minutes ago talking about how the Houston Texans and the Pittsburgh Steelers are in the same boat. Well, the Houston Texans are banged up. You want to know what they just got? Starting wide receiver to replace Tank Dell. That's huge, actually. The Houston Texans were a sleeper, and one that I think just became a pretty scary opponent for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Deontay Johnson to the Texans, man. That's not the greatest. That's not the greatest in the news cycle of the Pittsburgh Steelers there. You got thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head what the waiver order is, because Houston is higher on the waiver order than the Steelers, but I think it has to be just there. So now we're never going to know, but I'm curious as to whether or not, hey, Fitzy, whether or not the Steelers would have done it if given the option.
I think they would have. I do think that if given the opportunity, he would have been at least a candidate. I would have a hard time believing that they didn't jump in to try to get him, but Houston might have had top priority. I don't know. That doesn't move your needle for the Houston Texans at all.
I think it again, we have to see, because Deontay has had good games this year. They all came with Carolina earlier in the year. He's been out now, what, 3, 4, 5 weeks where he hasn't really been doing anything. How ready is he to jump in and be able to make a difference and an impact in the last 2 weeks? He's clearly not going to play on Wednesday. So what is he able to do in the next 10 days to get himself ready for the playoffs? That's going to go a long way. But I think that the talent is there. If everything meshes and fits well and he learns the offense fast enough, CJ Stroud can use that ability, that talent from Deontay as that team tries to continue to climb up in the AFC, because they've been quiet all year long. I think he could help them, because obviously they've been lacking receivers all year.
So it's hilarious that the Pittsburgh Steelers were hidden from Deontay Johnson all week, only for the Baltimore Ravens to send him to the Houston Texans, who they play on Wednesday. So
I mean,
NFL is a funny one.
It is, but he also hasn't been in that building in like a week and a half, 2 weeks at this point. But, it's all the anxiety of each NFL team and what it means to go up against your division rival versus, 3 days later, we have a team that we're going to play and he's going to go there anyway.
Yep. It's a wild time. The NFL is a wild time right now. All right. There's Deontay. Head to Houston, not the Pittsburgh Steelers.
We got some more overreactions. Let's go to Cody Silva, who says, overreaction. Russell Wilson is playing slightly worse than what Mason Rudolph did last year.
No overreaction. What are we doing? Okay. Mason Rudolph had 4 times the talent. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? No, that's an overreaction. It's the biggest overreaction. He had new quarterback syndrome. Okay. Let's just go through it. New quarterback syndrome. George Pickens and Deontay Johnson, which is an immediate massive upgrade over what Russell Wilson is working with right now. And who'd he beat? The Cleveland Browns and somebody else who isn't very good to get into the postseason. It was not no, it's an overreaction. You have 2 bad games and I get it, but look at the talent level. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's a different situation than what it was a year ago. You're playing 2 of the best teams in the NFL, and you have nobody at Ben Skoranek is your top target at wide receiver. It's a different situation. Overreaction.
All right, well, let's get back to the line here with something a little bit more in the realm of possibility. Overreaction. If the Steelers lose out and get a first rounded, they should sign Kenny Pickett back as the franchise quarterback.
Oh my gosh, we're having a good time here today. This is the easiest overreaction we've done, I think, ever. I think ever in the history of Overreaction Tuesday, most certainly Overreaction Tuesdays on a Monday. This is an overreaction. Kenny Pickett, man, wish you nothing but the best. That's it. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Let's go down to the Blaziken Bro, who says, overreaction. The Steelers will have a top 5 run offense next year with the addition of a rookie running back next to, and said Jalen right after this. So next to Jalen and another year under Arthur Smith.
I'm going to say it's an overreaction. The pieces are there. The pieces are there, but it's the offensive line that you're going to need to play way better. I think Jaylen Warren is great, but who's the rookie running back? That's massive. Luckily for the Pittsburgh Steelers, this rookie running back class is loaded. So you could go out, get Singleton from Penn State. You could get anybody in the middle of the rounds here from 2 to 4 and feel pretty good that they're a top 2 running back on most rosters. I would feel pretty confident about that, but it's the offensive line. Is Mason McCormick going to be good? Is he going to continue to take steps forward? Because he struggled against Baltimore, let's be honest, but he's a 4th round rookie. He should. Is Zach Frazier going to be continuously better? Is Broderick Jones going to get better? What happens with Dan Moore? Isaac Seumalo's over the age of 30. Massive questions. I would say overreaction, walking the line, like hopefully. You got to say hopefully, but if you asked me today, I'd say this is an overreaction.
We got one more for Overreaction Tuesday on a Monday. Let's go to Heldon_Daddy, who says, Pat Freiermuth requests a trade in the offseason due to the Steelers seemingly refusing to use him in any capacity.
Don't you just think that he would have just said, I'm good on a deal and it went into the offseason and made some money? Don't you think that would have I would a lot easier? Yeah, than requesting a trade to end up with like the New York Jets, where chances are it's not going well. I'll give you 2 reasons why Pat's not going to do that. This is an overreaction. The first reason is he just signed a massive contract, so he's probably pretty happy in the Steelers locker room. 2 is he's from Pennsylvania. He's from 2 hours down the road. He went to Penn State. Like, this is great for him. He's making millions of dollars to be the franchise tight end of the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have a great history of tight ends, who the fan base loves him. And again, he just signed a massive contract. I'm going overreaction on this one. That's how we'll finish it off.
I had to double check this. He's from Massachusetts.
Yeah, but
I know he spent a lot of time in PA, but like, I was curious. Nah, but yes,
I'm pretty sure his half of his family is from right outside of. Yeah. So
I mean, he fits like a glove, whether he's from Massachusetts or not. He's a Pittsburgher at this point.
Yeah. He is from, but he did go to you are right there. He did go to high school in Massachusetts because we've talked lacrosse back in the day.
That's a wrap for Overreaction Tuesday then.
Beautiful. Appreciate you guys. It's a short, crazy week, but Overreaction Tuesday on a Monday turned out to be a good one. All right. With that said, we're diving into all your questions. We're going to finish off the show the same way we do every single day by answering all of them. But first, we're going to take a quick break here from our boys over at DraftKings. Jingle bells, jingle all the way to my partners at DraftKings. The holidays are finally here, and my partners at DraftKings have the perfect gift for you right now. All new DraftKings customers who bet just $5 will get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Just download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and sign up using my promo code ALLSteelers. The crown is yours. That's right. New customers get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins after betting just $5. And don't forget to stay in the action and use your $150 in bonus bets on DraftKings same game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. Combine multiple bets together from the same game. I do it all the time. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings daily fantasy and have the shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use my promo code ALLSteelers and bet just $5 on any wager and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. That's promo code ALLSteelers only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Shout out our boys over at DraftKings. All right, we're diving into all of your questions, so make sure that you toss them in the chat. We'll answer all of them before we head out of here. Nick, I still can't believe the Houston Texans claimed Deontay. Of all the teams, I think it's the more it soaks in, the more I go, that is such a dangerous move for everybody outside of the Houston Texans. Shout out Houston, man. That was a good move. In my opinion, that was a very, very good move. All right. Let's dive into all these questions. What do we got?
Let's go with Alexander first. He says, if Arthur Smith were to leave, do you think Mike Tomlin would consider John Gruden for offensive coordinator? Tomlin has spoke highly of him in the past.
Yeah, John Gruden, if you guys have not been paying attention, is at Barstool Sports now, and he is loving his life. So I have a hard time believing he's going to leave anytime soon. I also, from what I have heard, know or have, I guess, have been informed that he's making pretty good money at the good old Barstool Sports. So I got a hard time thinking he's going to leave there to come coach a football team. I mean, Mike Tomlin and John Gruden are buddies, good buddies, and they go back a long ways. So you never know, but I would say chances are probably not.
Let's go to Noah, who says, still holding out for a home playoff game. What are the chances?
Feeling still a little bit confident, especially after look at Baltimore beating Houston is no guarantee. So I look at it the same way. I guess a little bit less of a likelihood than the Steelers. Like the Steelers beating Kansas City would surprise people a lot more than Baltimore beating Houston, obviously. But I'm not going to say either of these games are guaranteed. So if that happens, the Steelers are right back. All you got to do is beat Cincinnati, which, again, I understand, not easy to do, especially with Cincinnati fighting for a playoff spot. I get that. But I'm not ruling out the Pittsburgh Steelers winning the AFC North. I'm not. I would say what are the odds? More than 50. I would say right now where we stand, more than 50.
Let's go over to Cody Silva, who says, Noah, Nick, I agree when you guys say teams that get hot this time of year are the good teams in the playoffs. If we don't win this game, can we make it to the playoffs hot?
I don't know. I would guess Cincinnati. Cincinnati, you'd have to win by like 20 plus points to be considered hot. But that being said, who are the hot teams in the NFL right now? In the AFC? Kansas City, who's beat up. And that's it. Cincinnati's hot. That there are no other hot teams. Houston's not hot. Buffalo is not hot. I get it. Buffalo beat Detroit, but they almost lost to the Patriots last night. Let's not act like we all didn't sit on our couches going, Drake May is about to pull this bad boy off. Like, what's going on? And Josh Allen comes out there. He's got a broken hand. That's not good. LA, Denver, not hot. Baltimore, not hot. I don't think there's a hot team in the AFC North or in the AFC right now outside of Cincinnati, who right now is not in the postseason. So I would say, can the Steelers get hot? Probably not, unless you win these last two games. You'd have to win these last two games to be considered hot. But there is no team in the AFC that's hot right now, and that works in the Steelers' favor.
Let's go over to Loswald, who says, no, why are we the Bengals from the 2010s? And everyone in the media just hypes up Tomlin. He's Marvin Lewis, who was handed a Super Bowl team where all he needed to do was not mess it up.
Oof. I don't know if I agree with this one. I do think the criticisms for Tomlin are warranted. I'm not going to sit here and say that they're not. Mike Tomlin is a phenomenal head coach in a lot of areas. He's an awful head coach in a lot of areas. I think both of those things can be true. I'm not going to say they're the Bengals, okay? I'm not going to say Mike Tomlin's the best. I think I'm right in a crossroads there where it's the Steelers have a lot of talent. I'm not going to say that Mike Tomlin brought Bill Cowher's team to the Super Bowl because he brought them back to the Super Bowl. And I get it. They didn't win it, but they win again, which meant that Tomlin did it that time. That one was Tomlin's. I would say they're right there in the middle somewhere of like what's going on. Maybe the magic's done and still probably a good coach somewhere right there.
Let's go over to Brett, who says, going to play cornhole tonight in a league. I live in Eagles country with a lot of Eagles fans. Should I wear my Steelers Kenny Pickett jersey?
Yeah, 100%. You gotta remind them. You got to give everybody a taste of what's going on in Philadelphia right now. You lost the battle, my friend, but you didn't lose the war. And the war is the Philadelphia Eagles right now might have to go into the postseason with Kenny Pickett as their quarterback. Things could be worse. Things could be worse than losing to the Eagles. Your quarterback could be Kenny Pickett going into the postseason. I'm just saying, you got to remind everybody and say, hey, guys, look at this is what you got right now. Under 43 yards, a touchdown and an interception, and a loss to the Washington Commanders, I think I wouldn't even I'd wear nothing but that Kenny Pickett jersey for the next couple of days.
All right.
That's
Well, it is Festivus, and I'm going to tell you that visual, I'm not going to forgive you for that one. But
okay,
when else
I'm
would you
wearing
wear?
pants.
Well, you said I will wear nothing but that Kenny Pickett jersey, man. You got to be careful. You got to be careful this time of year with how you say things. But no, when
Pants
else
and a
would you
Kenny
wear?
Pickett jersey.
When else would you wear the Kenny Pickett jersey? This is the perfect opportunity to wear a Steelers Kenny Pickett jersey. You don't get many opportunities to pull that thing out. Do it.
That's what I'm saying. It's just it's a win. You know what I mean? Go take the win, man. You need one right now. Go get it.
Let's go over to Gino, who says, if you could get either, who would it be? Garrett Wilson or T. Higgins?
Oh, Garrett Wilson all day. No questions asked. Garrett Wilson is they're both phenomenal wide receivers. I think they're both great. Garrett Wilson has like Justin Jefferson, George Pickens, any other great wide receiver upside that Jamar Chase, like all those guys upside with an awful team and a terrible quarterback. So I'd go Garrett Wilson. No questions asked. Nothing against T. Higgins. Nothing at all. Just if I could pick either of them, I'm going with the guy who's younger and has more upside, and that is Garrett Wilson.
And a cleaner injury history. We'll put that one out there too.
And costs less money. Yes, right now.
Let's go over to Nate Moore, who says, the road is getting narrow, Noah. What are you going to do to get your face on Hard Knocks?
Dude, I think I'm all over Hard Knocks. I think I'm all over, and they just edit me out. I'm pretty sure. Because I walk in front of those cameras 70 times a day, and I look at the guys and go, yo, my bad. And they go, you're good. I'm like, all right, cool. At least every single time I walk in that building, I walk past the camera. Every time they're practicing. Today, they were trying to get video of George. What am I doing? Standing in front of the camera. And I looked at them, and they went, all right, sorry. So I'm trying, guys. I think the Steelers get final say. They get to like watch the whole thing. Their PR department watches it to make sure, they're not giving out Giants secrets or something. And by Giants, I mean the New York Giants. And I think that they go, get them out of there. Get them out of there. Can't have that. Not today. I'm also a little nervous about the camera adding 10 pounds. So I'm adding 10 pounds by myself. I don't need the camera doing extra work.
So the next league meetings, Mike Tomlin's going to come up to you and say, I intentionally cut you out of like 8 different scenes of Hard Knocks, right?
And I'm going to be like, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I don't need that right now. Thanks. Thank you.
Let's go over to Harlem Trent, who says, now that everybody is back, if we still look terrible, where do we go from here?
I don't know. I don't think there is anywhere to go. You have to either win or you don't win. That's where the Steelers are. I mean, if everybody's back and the Steelers still look bad, well, is there a fix? I'm not totally certain that there is one. I just think that I look at it and go, the Steelers might just be bad. That being said, I don't expect them to be bad now with everybody back, but there's a line to be walked and there's judgments to be made. And you can't just say everybody's back. There it is. It's good. Everybody's 100%. No, what does everybody look like? How healthy is everybody? TJ Watt is not healthy right now. He's playing, but he's not healthy. Is everybody else on the same boat? I don't know. We'll find out I keep saying tomorrow, but Wednesday.
Let's go over to Inferno, who says, with Mike Williams being clutch every single target, what will it take to get Tomlin to start using him?
They're not going to use him. That's a lost. It's a lost dream. It's gone. We had a good time with it. We got angry about it. We made some friends on the way, and we cried together and the whole nine. It was a big, good kumbaya. But it's over. The dream's dead. Mike Williams is not going to play a bunch for the Steelers this season. He's not going to do a bunch. That being said, okay, I said it when they traded him, when they traded for Mike Williams, because me and you had many discussions about how Mike Williams isn't that guy. He's not going to really move the needle. And what did I say? I said, yeah, but I do kind of get the vibe of Mike Williams catching that touchdown pass right in those big moments. And you never know. And if you could get that out of him, you got to feel pretty okay about the situation.
You know what other conversation we had?
What?
Mike Williams was going to have more receiving yards than Deontay Johnson with the Ravens. We win.
We did win.
We won that one. We got that right.
There it is. Little victories here. You know what I mean? Kenny Pickett, us, we're having good times. Good times.
Let's go over to Tyler B, who says, would you try and get Roman Wilson up to speed for the playoff run? Russell Wilson praised him back in training camp.
Yeah, training camp was so long ago. No, the answer is no. Corey Trice is a good example of why you're not doing that kind of stuff, because Corey Trice comes out here against Baltimore. He looks like a guy that's got no NFL experience, and he's still trying to get on a moving train. And that's what you're going to try to do with Roman Wilson. It's just not going to work. Rookies don't work like that. They don't move that fast. There's so much that goes into adjusting to the NFL game that we just can't comprehend, that you can't take a guy off IR 2 weeks left of the season and say, all right, dude, be part of this, be good again. Like, no, he's not even close. So the answer is just no. It's nothing against Roman Wilson. It's not going to work out to get him. That the expectation is not realistic for him to be up to speed in time for the playoffs.
Let's jump over to Solo Joe, who says, hey, boys, Merry Christmas. Would you rather your Netflix feed freeze on a critical down in the game or deal with the Taylor Swift camera montage all game?
Dude, I'm hoping I get to meet Taylor Swift. Christmas is saved if I meet Taylor Swift. I mean, could you imagine if everybody, because that's what this is. That's what Christmas is. You know what I mean? I spend pretty much 18 weeks out of my year hearing from my family about how they can't believe that I still work on these days, even though this is 6 years of me working on these days when I love what I do. To send a picture of me and Taylor Swift and just be like, this is why, guys, I win. That would mean it would make my whole year and my Christmas. That being said, I hope nobody's feed freezes. If you need, you could just follow on Twitter. Probably me, I guess. I'm not very good at the tweeting in game, but you'll find somebody. But I'd go, I don't know. Small risk, small moment of pissed off compared to 60 minutes of pure torture. That's a tough call. That is a very tough call.
I mean, it's an opinion some people aren't going to like, but as long as I see every play of the game, I really don't care what they show in between the plays. I just don't. So
nobody does.
If they cut from the whistle to the luxury suite, I just want one Ciara in there, or Sierra. I still don't know how to pronounce her name. I'm sorry. But as long as we get one mixed in there, I think we're good.
Yeah, I don't look at anybody who sits around all the time just being like, I can't believe they're just showing so much Taylor Swift. What are you doing in between plays, man? Because you could show me the drunk dude in the stands. I don't care. Not paying attention either way. That being said, if it's a good drunk dude in the stands, like Santa or something, like with a belly out, give me a little bit of that too. Mix it in. Be excited about it.
All right, let's go over to Ricky, who says, how much of an advantage do you think it gives Buffalo in the playoffs for them to not be playing in this gauntlet of a schedule that the other top AFC teams have had to go through?
Massive advantage. You are 2 times the team at the end of this than everybody else. Just the Steelers are a prime example, but the Chiefs are right there with them. The Chiefs are right now down their starting left tackle, their starting defensive star in Chris Jones. Patrick Mahomes is dealing with an ankle injury. There's so much going on with these teams. The Steelers are down both of their starting corners, their starting safety, defensive tackle, wide receiver, backup quarterback. Everybody is banged up. The Bills don't got to go through this. And I think that is a massive advantage. And that's, to be honest, like it's just not fair. What the NFL has done is just not fair, but they're well aware of this and they don't care. So there's nothing we could do, but it isn't. I mean, you've given the Buffalo Bills a huge advantage heading into the postseason.
Let's jump over to Grayson, who says, hey, Noah and Nick, how much of a factor do you think it's going to play that these last 2 games are both home games?
Huge advantage, our huge factor. Acrisure Stadium is a different place. It is a scary place. If this was Kansas City, if Pittsburgh was playing in Kansas City on Christmas, we would not be, there would be almost no shred of hope for the Steelers. Everybody would be talking about, but like you're on the road, it's not really feeling good. The fact that they have to come to Pittsburgh makes you feel like doesn't matter how many wins you have, doesn't matter how good you are, doesn't matter who your quarterback is. There's an opportunity that these fans show up in a different way and you just can't communicate the way that you need to communicate, and that you have an advantage in this one. And that's what Acrisure Stadium does. That's why Steelers Nation is the best fan base in the entire world, is because it is it is an advantage, a massive advantage for the Pittsburgh Steelers to play at home.
Yeah, two of the bigger issues of the last 2 weeks instantly get resolved, or at the very least get aided significantly by being at home as opposed to being on the road. Communication on the back end on defense and the offensive line getting off to slow jumps. You don't have to worry about that when you're not going on silent count. So that's going to be a huge advantage for the Steelers, and specifically the running game on offense.
Yes. Will it affect the best quarterback in football? We'll see, but it's better than not having it. I'll tell you that.
Let's go over to Jeppa, who says, if we beat the Chiefs, are we back to being contenders?
100%. 100%. You beat the Kansas City. Who else you got to beat?
Yeah.
If you beat the Kansas City Chiefs, you beat the team that everybody expects to win the Super Bowl. Contenders. You've done it. You've said, hey, guys, you know that team that everybody can't beat? We beat them. So us good again. Yeah, 100%. That's what this game is. If they win, and we're not going to talk if they lose. We'll get there when we get there. If they win, if the Steelers win, there's a lot of conversations about how they are healthy and how they beat the Chiefs. And there's a very big, giant narrative switch or change in motion if it happens.
Yeah. A lot of people have been saying that George Pickens is making a lot of money these weeks that he's not out, showing what happens when he's out. If he comes back in and they beat the Chiefs and he's a significant part of it, that's going to make him more money than sitting out the last 2 weeks ever did.
Yeah, 100%. What George Pickens does over the next 2 weeks and for the Steelers offense is, unmatched compared to anything else he's done all season long.
Let's go over to Chris, who says, is this offense good enough to make it to the AFC Championship?
Yes and no. It depends on the week. Depends on who's playing well. Depends on if George Pickens is healthy. It depends on if the offensive line's playing well. I'll tell you that. I don't think the offensive line is good enough to make it to the AFC Championship game. That's my biggest concern. There are a lot of other pieces that I'd feel very confident in. I don't feel confident in the offensive line to get the Steelers to the AFC Championship game. I think the Steelers' offensive line is better than they've been in a while, and I think that they have the pieces in place to be really good over the next couple of years. But they're very young right now and underdeveloped, and there's still a lot of growth here. And because of that, you got to be weary, and you're seeing the issues with the youth and the needed growth and all that stuff. So as a whole, I would say maybe you break it down piece by piece. A lot of them are yeses. The offensive line might be a no.
Let's go over to Nate Moore, who says, what is the ideal QB solution barring a first-round bounce out of the playoffs? Resign Russ, Justin, free agent, draft? Where do you go?
I think a little bit of both. I think a little bit of everything. A lot of it comes down to money. A lot of it comes down to potential. I think if you're bounced first round of the playoffs and you could get Russ on a cheap 2-year deal, you get Russ back on a cheap 2-year deal. You have to make a commitment to quarterback early in the NFL draft this year, which in my opinion is first round. You are essentially saying the Steelers don't have a first round pick this year. You have to go somewhere else, or you have to go somewhere else for whatever position you were going to draft outside of a quarterback right there. Or you're taking a quarterback next year and you are committed to getting a quarterback in the top 15 next year, no matter what it takes. That's what you're saying. I don't feel good about the Steelers doing those things, making that commitment. So therefore, I would say Justin is another option where you could say he's more of a long-term thing and he's got a lot of upside and he's going to get a starting opportunity somewhere anyway. So you might as well give it in Pittsburgh and see if it works out. I think that's a risk, but depends on what risk you're willing to take, because that's where the Steelers are. Are you willing to take the risk of a quarterback in Justin Fields that maybe doesn't blossom into what you hope he does? Or are you willing to take a risk on Russell Wilson signing for 2 years and you maybe not getting your quarterback after him over the next 2 years? And maybe Russ goes downhill because he's 36 years old and those things happen.
Let's finish it off with this one from Sam, who says, Minka finally got an interception. Is that the splash play he needed to get back to the old Minka?
We're going to find out, right? In the words of Mike Tomlin, keep to be decided, to be determined, keep watching. I don't know. Depends on the type of week that he's having. We'll see. We'll see. I thought it was a big moment for Minka. It was really good to see him get out back on the board. I think it was hilarious when I was not one of them. I was standing 6 feet behind two of them who went up, and I'm not going to say anybody by name so that nobody gets embarrassed. But two media members went up and said, Micah, can we talk to you? And he's like, I got nothing to say. He's like, Patrick Mahomes is a good player. He's like, well, what about the interception? Doesn't mean anything. All right. Sounds good. So we'll see. To be determined. Keep watching. That's my answer to that one, because none of it means nothing if it's one interception and then we wait another 2 years for it.
Yeah, singularly focused. I think that's what you like to see from Minkah Fitzpatrick, but that's a wrap for today.
Awesome. With that said, guys, we are heading out of here. Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcasts. And as always, find all of our work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. Tomorrow, we will be here at 3 o'clock, not 4 o'clock. So remember that, 3 p.m., we will go live on YouTube, simply because everybody's got their life and their dinners to get to on Christmas Eve. So we're going to make sure that you guys get to those things without our voices playing in your ear right at 5 o'clock. And enjoy a beautiful, but should get a little snowy tonight, day in the Berg. Peace.